It's a digital detox for clearer thinking. Season 1, what really happens to your brain when you take a break from your phone? The tone will feel like a thoughtful, caring chat with a trusted friend. Clear, comforting, and easy to follow for older adults. I'll let you know as soon as the full script is ready. Digital detox for clearer thinking. Season 1, what really happens to your brain when you take a break from your phone? John, introduction. Have you ever noticed how busy your mind feels after spending a long time on your phone? Perhaps you've caught yourself scrolling late at night only to realize an hour has passed in a blink. Maybe you find it harder to concentrate on a single task without the urge to check for new messages or news updates. If you're an older adult who didn't grow up with smartphones, this constant digital pull might feel both amazing and a little overwhelming. In this gentle conversation, we'll explore what really happens to your brain when you're always on your phone and the wonderful things that can happen when you give it a little break. We're going to talk about why that foggy mile feeling happens after too much screen time and how stepping away from our devices can clear our minds. Don't worry, we won't get too technical. Instead, imagine we're two friends chatting over a cup of tea. We'll use simple brain science, relatable examples. You might think, oh, I do that too, and even a few warm metaphors to make it easy to understand. By the end, you'll know why taking a digital detox, even a small one, can leave you feeling calmer, sharper, and more at peace. Let's begin this journey to a clearer mind together. Our overstimulated minds when the phone takes over. Your smartphone is frying your brain. Neuroscientist explains how increased screen time is impacting our lives. Technology news. The Indian Express. Again, HTTPS, Indian Express, come, your article, technology, your smartphone is frying brain, impact of increased screen time. Many of us have our phones within arm's reach all day and even at night. Think about it. How often do you pick up your phone just out of habit, not for anything urgent? Each time we hear a ding or see a notification, our brain gets a tiny rush of excitement. In fact, scientists tell us that every time we see those notifications or a fresh piece of content, it triggers the release of dopamine, a chemical in the brain that makes us feel rewarded. Your smartphone is frying your brain. Neuroscientist explains how increased screen time is impacting our lives. Technology news. The Indian Express. HTTPS. Indian Express. Commerce article, technology is your smartphone is frying brain, impact of increased screen time, 9511 wave 4, text, she said, sent 20 at 20, these 20 constant smartphones, 20 or 20 social, 20 media show me apps. It's the same chemical that gives us a pleasurable feeling when we eat something sweet, or even, as studies show, the same type of brain reward that drugs or alcohol can trigger. Finding focus in a fragmented world. It tips w.linkedin. Compulse finding focus fragmented world millennia mitiva mass rigos k7z. Text. Blocks percent 20% targeting choice 20% D 2% 80% 9C dopamine percent 20 fasting steady 2% 80% 9D. That might sound extreme, but it helps explain why it's so hard to ignore a message or stop scrolling a newsfeed. Our brains are getting hooked on that next little reward. The dopamine trap. Have you ever played a slot machine or known someone who did? You pull the lever and you never know if you'll win. Sometimes you do, most times you don't. Yet the possibility keeps you pulling the lever again. Modern smartphones and apps work in a surprisingly similar way. As one neuroscientist, Dr. Wendy Suzuki, describes it, things like social media are designed like a slot machine. You scroll, pull the lever, and occasionally you see something delightful. A cute family photo, a friendly comment, which gives you a dopamine hit. Your smartphone is frying your brain. Neuroscientist explains how increased screen time is impacting our lives. Technology news, the Indian Express, HTTPS, Indian Express. Article, side technology, your phone. Smartphone is frying brain melon, impact of increased screen time, 951 4. So text, The Ascent 20 renowned 20 neuroscientists, Ascent 20 and 20 memory, dopamine, hit percent, we friend 2%, 80%, 9% in she percent 20 told then 20 Bartlett. It's that unpredictable reward that keeps us coming back for more. Over time, the brain gets conditioned to crave this stimulation. Your smartphone is frying your brain. Neuroscientist explains how increased screen time is impacting our lives. Technology News, The Indian Express, http Indian Express. com/article/technology your smartphone is frying brain. Impact of increased screen time. 95114. Side text. He said percent 20th at a 20 the cent 20 constant. Smartphones 20 or 20 social and 20 media 20 apps. We start feeling a little restless or bored if nothing is happening on our phone, so we check it again and again. This constant cycle of anticipation and reward can lead to overstimulation. Our poor brain's reward system is lighting up too frequently, like an engine revving all day without a rest. Eventually, it can get tired. Not tired in the way that makes you yawn, but in a way that makes it harder for the brain to feel pleasure from simpler things. One expert, Dr. Anna Lemke from Stanford, explains that with enough constant exposure, our brains can actually get so over-rewarded that they flip into a sort of dopamine deficit state. Finding focus in a fragmented world. http www.linkedin.com Pulse Finding Focus Fragmented World Milena Mativa Ragos KA7Z Text Blocks percent 20% eating tries to 100% E2% 80% 9C dopamine percent 20 fasting 2% 80% 9D. In plain language, that means after too much of the feel-good dopamine, we end up feeling flat or even anxious and irritable when we're not on the phone. It's as if the brain says, I've had so much excitement, now I can't function normally without it. You might notice this as a sort of dull, blah feeling when you've been scrolling for hours. Nothing else seems to stimulate you anymore. And how do many of us respond? By turning back to the phone to get out of that funk, thus continuing the cycle. Finding focus in a fragmented world. https www.linkedin.com Pulse Finding Focus Fragmented World Milena Mativa Regos KA7Z Text Blocks are sent 20 and percent tune Tri-center 20% E percent 80% 9C dopamine 20 fasting port E 2% 80% may D. Overstimulation from constant phone use doesn't just affect our mood. It can actually make it harder for our brains to form new connections and memories. Suzuki warns that endless screen time can reduce our brain's potential for growth and neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to form new connections. Your smartphone is frying your brain. Neuroscientist explains how increased screen time is impacting our lives. Technology News, The Indian Express, http Indian Express. Article or technology your smartphone is frying brain impact of increased screen time 95114. Text smartphones on 20% 2% 80% 98 frying just 82% 80% 99% 20. The cent 20 brains refers owing cent 20 to show 20 frequent fat 20 smartphone up to 20 use. It's like overwatering a plant. You think more stimulation would help, but in reality, it drowns the plant. With an overstimulated, dopamine-soaked brain, we can feel mentally exhausted and our ability to think clearly and creatively diminishes. If you've ever spent a whole afternoon jumping between emails, news, and social media, and then felt sort of mentally numb, that's the sensation. Your brain has been fried by too much input. In Dr. Suzuki's words, our modern screen habits can leave the brain overstimulated and potentially harmed by the constant barrage of dopamine and stress signals from frequent smartphone use. Your smartphone is frying your brain. Neuroscientist explains how increased screen time is impacting our lives. Technology News, the Indian Express, https://Indian Express. Com article, technology, your smartphone is frying brain, impact of increased screen time, 905.1154. Text, smartphones, 20% E2% and 80% 98, frying 70%, 80%, 99%, 20 of them, 20 brains. Then he refers owing 20 to 0.1 frequent, they did 20 smartphone, 20 use. Scattered thinking and memory glitches. Constant phone use doesn't only play tricks with our reward system, it also impacts our attention and memory. Think of your attention as a spotlight. It can really only shine brightly on one thing at a time. But every ping from your phone pulls that spotlight somewhere else for a moment. If you're reading a book and you get a notification, even if you just glance at it for 5 seconds, it's like someone nudged your elbow while you were trying to focus. Regaining that focus isn't instantaneous. In fact, research has found that after an interruption, it can take about 23 minutes for our brains to get back into a deep focus on the original task. Finding focus in a fragmented world. It is tips. W. LinkedIn.com Pulse Finding Focus Fragmented World Milena Mitiva Rigos K7Z Shayan Text 8% to 20 mon tasks from the after transferring in percent 20 interruption. 23 minutes lost because we checked a message that took perhaps 10 seconds. Multiply that by dozens of notifications a day, and it's no wonder we often end the day feeling like we got nothing done or our mind is washed all over the place. Now, older adults might jokingly blame senior moments when we forget why we walked into a room or misplaced the keys. But before you chalk it all up to aging, consider how much multitasking and voice information juggling your brain is doing with a smartphone always by your side. Each time you shift your attention from the TV to your phone, from your phone to a conversation, from that conversation back to the phone, you give your brain extra work to do. It's like trying to read 5 books at once, one sentence from each in rotation. No wonder the plot or the plan you had for the day gets confusing. In fact, psychological studies suggest that excessive smartphone checking can lead to more frequent mental lapses, sometimes called cognitive failures. These are those little forgetful moments or slip-ups, like when you lose your train of thought, or you forget a word you were about to say, or you miss an appointment because you got distracted. Does frequent smartphone use lead to daily cognitive failures? Mart SMU Newsroom, News SMU.edu. SOG News 2023-310. Does frequent smartphone use lead daily cognitive failures? Text. The Send 20 team, somewhere 20, found a 20, that percent 20 on, taking mono regular 20 breaks for 20 from 20 smartphone. Does frequent smartphone use lead to daily cognitive failures? SMU Newsroom, https://news.smu.edu. SJUISH News 2023-03-10. Does frequent smartphone use lead daily cognitive failure search bar text? The 120 team found that percent 20 on, taking regular 20 breaks or 20 from 20 smartphone. One study found that on days when people check their phones more often, they experience significantly more of these daily forgetfulness and distraction errors. Does frequent smartphone use lead to daily cognitive failures? Nearshore, SMU Newsroom, https://news.smu.edu. SGZR News 2023-03-10. Does frequent smartphone use lead daily cognitive failures or text? The Cent 120 team founder sent 20 that percent 20 on and taking set 20 regular 20 breaks and 20 from 20 smartphone. It's not that the phone use directly makes us forget, it's that every check adds to our cognitive load, basically the brain's to-do list, and eventually something falls off the list. Imagine you're carrying a stack of dishes. The taller the stack, the more likely something will slip from the top. Constant notifications and app switching stack more and more mental dishes in our arms until we inevitably drop one. The result? We feel more scatterbrained and forgetful. You might open a new browser tab on your phone, and before it even loads, you've forgotten why you opened it in the first place. These little hiccups can erode our confidence in our memory. It's not just you, it's the way the constant demands on your attention are overloading your brain circuits. Multitasking with digital devices also gives us the illusion of productivity or staying informed, but it can come at the cost of real and depth of thought. You might skim 5 news articles and dozens of social media posts, but later struggle to recall any specific details. Or you might have 10 conversations in a day via text but still feel oddly disconnected or lonely. Our brains are, not built to process so many streams at once. When we try, we end up doing each thing a bit less efficiently. As one Stanford professor put it, today's nonstop multitasking wastes more time than it saves and kills our concentration and creativity. Finding focus in a fragmented world. HTTPS www LinkedIn Pulse Finding Focus Fragmented World Milena Mativa Rigos Ka7Z Shige Text Hour 20 concentration 20% 20 creativity 22. In other words, being constantly busy with your phone can actually make you less effective at thinking and not fun. It's a classic case of quantity over quality, lots of mental activity, but not as much meaningful output. Wisham, the sleep thief. Let's talk about one of the most precious things for a clear mind. Sleep. By now, you have probably heard that staring at screens before bed can interfere with sleep. But do you know why? Our brains follow a natural cycle of wakefulness and sleepiness, guided by hormones, especially one called melatonin. Melatonin is like a gentle sandman that tells your brain, it's night, time to sleep. The problem is the blue light emitted by phone and tablet screens suppresses melatonin production, tricking the brain into thinking it's still daytime. Screen time in the brain, Harvard Medical School, https://HMS Harvard, edu/news events, publications, archive, brain, screen time burn, bursting, odd text, 8% 20, good percent 29%, E2% 80%, 99% 20, sleep 20 is was E2%, 80%, 9D. So when we lie in bed scrolling or reading on a bright screen, we're actively telling our brain to stay awake. It's like having a cup of coffee right before bed. The stimulation from the screen's light and content wakes up the brain. Not only does this make it harder to fall asleep, it also affects the quality of your rest. Researchers at Harvard Medical School found that people who use blue light emitting devices at night not only take longer to drift off, but they also get less REM sleep, the deep sleep stage that is crucial for processing and storing memories of the day. Screen time in the brain, Harvard Medical School, TTIPS, HMS Harvard, edu news events, watch publications, archive, brain, screen times all brain, text, all 8% 20, good, 39%, E2% 80%, 99% 20 sleep, 28 is, or E2% 80%, 9D. So if you spend an evening glued to your phone and then manage to sleep, your brain might not fully archive the experiences and information from that day. One sleep scientist humorously noted regarding teens who text late into the night, even if they stay awake in algebra class, they may not remember what happened in class yesterday. Screen time in the brain. Harvard Medical School by HMS Harvard. Edu news events, publications, archive, brain, screen time, brain, text, screen, devices, 20 like persona smartphones, before by E2% 80% 9D. For older adults, this might translate to not remembering the details of the TV show you watched last night, or feeling foggy about yesterday's conversations, simply because your brain didn't get the quality sleep it needed to solidify those memories. Perhaps you've experienced this. You scroll news or Facebook in bed to relax, but then you find your mind more alert or even anxious. You finally fall asleep late, and the next day you feel groggy, maybe a bit irritable, and you might need extra cups of coffee to feel normal. That grogginess is not just age or coincidence. It's often the direct result of Screen-induced sleep disruption. Consistently losing sleep or having poor sleep due to late-night phone use can accumulate into chronic tiredness and mental fatigue. Over time, this can lead to a sort of persistent brain fog. You're awake but not fully alert, and thinking feels like slogging through mud. It's worth mentioning that stress and anxiety can also sneak in here. If you're scrolling at night, there's a good chance you might encounter upsetting news or something that stirs your emotions, a contentious social media post, an alarming news headline, or even a late-night work email. Unlike a relaxing bedtime story, these digital interactions can trigger stress responses, pumping adrenaline and stress hormones that make it even harder for your body to wind down. So the phone becomes a double sleep thief. It stimulates your brain with light and content, leaving you wired when you should be powering down. Over time, regularly missing out on deep sleep doesn't just make you tired, it can affect your mood, often making people feel blue or anxious, and worse, cognitive function, slower thinking, poorer memory. Science has repeatedly shown that ongoing lack of sleep can negatively impact mental health. Digital Detox, Why We Need It. Newport Academy. HTTPS www.newportacademy.com/resources. Restoring Families, Digital Detox, text, Science. 20 confirms, and that's why you sell 20 phones inducing a 2% zero hormone. Digital Detox, Why We Need It. Newport Academy, https://newportacademy.com/resources, Restoring Families, Digital Detox, text, research via 20 shows, that percent 20 as 720 screen being. In summary, when our phone invades our nights, it robs us of the mental cleanup and rejuvenation that sleep normally provides, leading to a messier mind the next day. Emotional overload and stress. Beyond the chemical and neurological effects, constant phone use can affect our emotional well-being. Think about what we often consume on our phones. News updates, not always positive. Social media posts, emails that might require action, messages from family and friends, maybe videos or games. It's a lot of emotional toggling. One moment you might read a heartwarming message from a friend, the next you see a distressing news article, then a funny video, then an email about a bill. Your emotions are being pulled in many directions in a short span of time. For an older adult who remembers when news came at set times, like the evening news on TV, and letters came in the mail maybe once a day, this constant stream of information is unprecedented. Our hearts and minds haven't evolved to process so much at once, without feeling some strain. Studies and expert observations are finding links between heavy social media use and feelings of anxiety and depression. Dr. Suzuki noted that increased screen time, especially with social media, is correlated with higher anxiety and depression. And it can decrease the time we spend on in-person connections that are so crucial for our emotional health. Your smartphone is frying your brain. Neuroscientist explains how increased screen time is impacting our lives. Technology News, The Indian Express, Chitam Indian Express. Com/article Technology, your smartphone is frying brain, impact of increased screen time, 95114. Text, Suzuki 720 pointed, 20 out past that isn't 20 crucial, 20 4, 20 brain, 20 health. It's a bit ironic. The phone connects us instantly with others, yet too much of it can make us feel more isolated or uneasy. Part of that is because digital interaction, while convenient, doesn't give the same comforting human touch as a face-to-face chat or a hug. And yet, if we're always on the phone, we might end up replacing real-world interactions with digital ones without realizing it and feel emptier for it. Another subtle emotional stressor is the constant comparison that can happen on social platforms. You might see photos of grandchildren doing great things, which is joyful, but you might also see peers posting about their vacations or accomplishments and feel a bit of envy or am I doing enough? Even news of others' problems can weigh on us. We empathize and feel sad or worried. In the past, you might hear about such things occasionally. Now it's every time you open an app. Our brains are absorbing all these emotional hits. good, bad, and trivial, in rapid succession, and that can be exhausting. It's like an emotional roller coaster that never quite stops. Lastly, there's a phenomenon known as information overload. That's when we consume so much information that our brain just can't handle anymore, leading to stress and decision paralysis. If you've ever tried to catch up on all the day's news, messages, and posts and felt overwhelmed, you've hit that point. Our mind, much like a computer, can run out of memory when too many programs are open. We might then feel irritable, stressed, or helpless without fully understanding why. It's the mental fatigue of too much input. We simply weren't meant to be plugged in to the world 24/7. When the brain is overloaded, it's not just a cognitive issue, it affects emotions too, often making people more reactive, snapping at someone more easily, or more withdrawn and numb. In summary, constant phone use can put our brains and hearts on a kind of high-speed treadmill. Our reward system is overactivated, dopamine rush, and crash. Our attention is constantly pulled in fragments. Our sleep is disrupted, and our emotions are kept in a state of high alert or comparison. It's no surprise that many people report feeling drained, frazzled, or gloomy when they've been too glued to their phones. But here's the good news. Just as our brains respond to all that constant stimulation, they also respond beautifully when we dial things back and take a break. Let's explore what happens when you step off this wild ride for a while and allow your brain to recharge. Remember, reclaiming clarity. How breaks heal your brain. Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a snow globe. When you're constantly shaking it as a phone does with endless notifications and content, the flakes, thoughts, swirl around chaotically, making it hard to see clearly. Now think of what happens when you set the snow globe down for a while. The flakes slowly settle and the scene becomes clear. Taking a break from your phone is a lot like setting that snow globe mind of yours down. The mental dust can settle and clarity emerges. Let's talk about the remarkable improvements that begin to happen in your brain when you unplug, even for a short time. Finding calm and focus again. One of the first things people notice during a digital detox is a sense of calm that creeps back in. It might not be immediate. In fact, at first you might feel a bit hissy without checking your phone. That's the dopamine cravings tickling your brain. But after a little while, that itchiness eases and you feel more present. Without a phone constantly buzzing, you can sit and gather your thoughts. Your attention, that spotlight we talked about, finally gets to shine steadily on one thing at a time. It's such a relief for the brain. Instead of skittering from one notification to the next, your mind can actually finish a thought. You might find that you can read a book chapter or a full newspaper article without your concentration breaking. Or maybe you can sit on your porch and simply watch the birds, truly noticing them without reaching for your phone. This ability to sustain attention grows with each bit of time you spend away from the constant digital chatter. There's scientific evidence backing this up. In a recent experiment, researchers asked a group of people to block the internet on their smartphones for just 2 weeks, essentially forcing a partial digital detox. The results were striking. 91% of the participants said they felt better after the break. Taking even a short break from your smartphone can boost your mood. NPR. CPs. Sa WWWR. Org 2025-02-24. NXS 1534447. Smartphone break. Digital detox. Screen addiction. Or text. Researchers. Studied percent 20. What percent 20 happened when felt and 20 better 20 after the 20 break. What's more, they didn't just feel better in some vague sense. They scored higher on measures of mental health, subjective well-being, and even their ability to focus for extended periods. Taking even a short break from your smartphone can boost your mood. NPR, 8 days watch tapes, www.np. Org 2025-02-24, NXS 530447, smartphone break digital detox screen addiction, text. Researchers studied percent 20. What percent 20 happened, 20 when, felt 20 better, 2020, after 20, the percent 20 break. In other words, people were happier and could pay attention longer after giving up the constant phone connectivity for a short time. That's a big deal. It's like hitting a reset button for your mood and mind. Another study with people who took longer breaks found that 71% reported decreased feelings of depression, and 73% reported higher well-being. After stepping away from their smartphones for a while, taking even a short break from your smartphone can boost your mood. NPR, http://w.org, 2025, 0224, NX, S153044417, smartphone, break digital detox screen addiction or text. The Cent 20 researchers suddenly measured a Cent 20, 3% different, being if you've been feeling mentally foggy, a bit down or scattered, these findings offer hope. A break from your phone can genuinely reboot your mood and clear that fog. In fact, one of the researchers noted that the improvement in mood was comparable to what some people experience from taking antidepressant medication. Taking even a short break from your smartphone can boost your mood. NPR to w.npr. Org 225 0224 NXS153044417. Smartphone break digital detox screen addiction text enjoy send 3F% 20. The percent 20 participants, percent 7% 20 responses, 20 pointed, 8% 20 significant, 20 lift and 20% 20 mood. Of course, that's not to say you should replace meds with phone breaks if you need them, but it shows just how powerful less phone time can be in lifting your spirits. With less bombardment from the digital world, your brain's reward system starts to rebalance. Remember that dopamine deficit state? When you give your brain a rest, it can replenish itself. You might find that simple pleasures like a walk in the park or a homemade meal start to feel more enjoyable again because your brain isn't jaded by a nonstop onslaught of stimulation. This process is sometimes playfully called a dopamine fast, meaning you intentionally step away from all the little dopamine triggers, like your phone, for a bit, to let your brain recover its sensitivity to natural rewards. Finding focus in a fragmented world. http://w.linkedin.com Pulse, Finding Focus, Fragmented World, Melina Mitiva Ragos, KA7Z text. Blocks are sent 20, ampersand 20 tries to 20%, E2%, 80%, 9C dopamine, percent 20 fasting, E2%, 80%, 9D. After a detox, that cup of tea or the laugh with a friend hits you with more satisfaction than it did when your brain was dulled by constant phone highs. Focus returns too. Those cognitive muscles that were being constantly interrupted finally get to stretch out and strengthen. It's not unlike how you might feel when you have been in nature for a few days without much tech. Time seems to slow down, and you can pay attention to one thing at a time. People often report that after an initial restlessness, they feel their thoughts getting clearer during a digital break. You might start to tackle those jigsaw puzzles or crosswords with more patience, or find that you can follow a complex train of thought further than before. Essentially, by removing the constant distractions, you give your brain the space to think deeply again. Like pruning an overgrown garden, clearing out digital distractions lets your important thoughts and memories bloom. Plan item: better sleep and brighter mornings. One of the biggest benefits many notice when they cut back on phone use, especially at night, is improved sleep. If you decide, for example, to make your bedroom a phone-free zone, you may find that you fall asleep faster and sleep more soundly. Without that blue light shining in your face before bed, your brain is free to produce melatonin on cue, gently easing you into sleep. Screen time in the brain, Harvard Medical School, https hms.harvard, edu news events, publications, archive, brain, screen time, brain, start text, 8% good, 29%, E2%, 80%, 99%, sleep 20 is E2%, 80%, 9D. People who try this often describe their sleep as deeper and their mornings as much fresher. Instead of waking up in a haze because you were scrolling at midnight, you wake up and actually feel like you've rested. Your mind in the morning is clearer, almost like someone wiped the smudges off your glasses. Over time, consistently good sleep does wonders for the brain. During deep sleep, your brain has a chance to perform a kind of maintenance. It organizes memories, clears out waste products, and resets your mood and cognitive functions for the next day. When you start giving yourself that gift by not letting the phone steal your sleep, you may notice your ball sharper during the day. Perhaps you remember names and details better, or you have more energy to engage in conversations and activities. Sleep is like a power wash for the brain, and removing late-night screens turbocharges that cleaning process. People also report having an easier time waking up when they haven't been on their phone the night before. If your last hour before sleep is calm, maybe you read a pleasant book or listen to soothing music. Your brain isn't left processing upsetting news or lingering stimulation overnight. That means fewer jarring dreams and a more gentle wake-up. And when the morning sunlight comes in, or your alarm, a real alarm clock perhaps, goes off, you might not feel the urge to hit snooze repeatedly. There's a certain satisfaction in waking up naturally without immediately grabbing for the phone. You might stretch, take a breath, and set an intention for your day rather than immediately flooding your mind with emails or updates. Better sleep also directly translates to better mood. There's a reason even children get cranky when they're tired. Our brains just don't operate well without enough quality sleep. By protecting your sleep from the phone, you protect your mood. You may find you feel more even-keeled and less prone to feeling anxious or down. And if you pair your digital detox with relaxing bedtime routines, like gentle stretches, a warm bath, or prayer meditation, the effect is even stronger. You're signaling safety and calm to your brain so it can fully let go into rest. Consistently doing this can break the cycle of chronic sleep deprivation and create a new cycle, one of a rejuvenation and mental clarity each day. Why? Sharper memory and mental clarity. When you give your brain some breathing room from constant smartphone use, one delightful change is an improvement in memory and overall clarity of thought. It's as if that mental fog we talked about begins to lift. Without dozens of little distractions each hour, your brain can actually commit things to memory more effectively. You might notice you're forgetting fewer appointments, or that you recall details from that book you read or conversation you had yesterday more vividly. This happens for a few reasons. First, as we discussed, you're likely sleeping better, and deep sleep is when memories solidify. So better sleep equals better memory. But even during the day, when you aren't dividing your attention so much, you encode memories more strongly. For example, if you meet a new neighbor and have a chat without your phone buzzing in your pocket, you're more likely to remember their name and what you talked about. Your brain was fully present for the interaction, so it could form a clear memory of it. Contrast that with meeting someone while your phone is vibrating and you're half distracted thinking about a message. You might not recall that person's name later. By reducing distractions, you're essentially telling your brain, this is important, pay attention. And the brain listens, laying down a stable memory. You might also find that your mental tasks feel easier. Maybe balancing the checkbook or following a recipe becomes less of a struggle because your mind isn't flitting elsewhere. That clear-headed feeling can be very empowering, especially if you've been feeling not as sharp as you used to be. It turns out, some of that sharpness was likely just masked by digital overload. Remove the overload and your natural mental abilities shine through again. In fact, when people stop multitasking so frantically, they often discover they can think more creatively and solve problems better. This is because creativity and deep thinking need a bit of empty space, those moments when you stare out the window and let your mind wander freely. If you've ever had great ideas in the shower or while on a peaceful walk, you know what I mean. By putting the phone down, you invite more of those idle moments where your mind can wander and make new connections. As one Harvard expert charmingly put it, boredom is the space in which creativity and imagination happen. Screen time in the brain, citing Harvard Medical School, Harvard, edu news events, publications, archive, brain, screen time, brains, house, text, stimulation, percent 20 to 20, developing 7 and 20 brain, and percent 20 imagination, audit happened to see percent e 2%, 80% 9% 20 says. When you stop bombarding your brain every second, you're giving it permission to be bored in a healthy way. The kind of boredom that leads to daydreams, reflection, and creative insight. Many people on a digital detox report that after a few days they experience a wonderful mental wow and quiet that they hadn't felt in a long time. It's not that their mind goes blank, rather, their thoughts slow down to a manageable pace. You might notice, for example, that you can sit and think through an issue in your life step by step without your attention scattering. Or you might recall a pleasant memory from years ago that surfaces because your brain finally isn't consumed with the latest headline or notification. In a way, taking breaks gives you your mind back. It's under your control, not being yanked around by every external ping. This clarity can feel almost like a mental detox in the truest sense, flushing out the gunk and clutter, leaving you with a fresher, cleaner cognitive palette. Sees, lifting your mood and finding emotional balance. Perhaps one of the most beautiful benefits of stepping away from our phones is the effect on our mood and emotional health. We've talked about how constant phone use can ramp up anxiety, stress, or feelings of sadness. The flip side is that taking a break can noticeably lift your mood and lower stress. Think of it like taking a noisy, heavy backpack off your shoulders. Suddenly, there's relief. Many people describe feeling surprisingly at peaceful during a digital detox. The world didn't end because they didn't check their email for an afternoon, but instead their inner world got calmer. There's research to back up these mood improvements. In one survey conducted by the charity Mind, 95% of people said their mood improved after putting down their phones and spending time outside. Digital detox, why we need it. Newport Academy. https www.newportacademy.com resources restoring families digital detox volume. Along swinning with getting 20 kids. Away, child person 20, more opportunity, calms 20, and choose it balanced. They went from feeling wide, stressed, and depressed to feeling more calm and balanced. Digital detox, why we need it. Newport Academy, https www.newportacademy.com/resources, restoring families digital detox voices. Text to she, along 20, with percent 20 getting and 20 kids. Away, 220 more percent calm, 20 and 20 balanced. Just imagine, almost everyone in that group felt better by simply stepping away from screens and maybe taking a walk or enjoying nature. If you've ever felt your spirits lift when strolling through a garden or watching a sunset, you won't be surprised. When not glued to a device, we naturally seek out other experiences. And many of those, like nature or chatting with a friend or engaging in a hobby, are inherently mood-boosting. Another study we mentioned earlier found that after a few weeks of reduced smartphone use, people reported significantly less anxiety and depressive symptoms. Taking even a short break from your smartphone can boost your mood. NPR, https www.npr.org 2025 0224 NX S1 447 smartphone break digital detox screen addiction Ulkayer's text. The percent 20 researchers from 20 measure percent 23% 20 different being. Some participants said they hadn't felt this good in years. Why does this happen? Partly it's because we break that cycle of constantly triggering the brain's stress response. Without reading every alarming news alert, our baseline stress level drops. Without the artificial social comparisons on Facebook or Instagram, we tend to feel more content with our own lives. It's easier to practice gratitude when you're not bombarded by what everyone else supposedly has or is doing. You might find yourself focusing more on the good things right in front of you. A cozy home, the taste of your morning coffee, a call with your grandchild, rather than the endless stream of updates on the phone. Digital breaks also often lead to more face-to-face or voice-to-voice interactions, which are like balm for the soul. A short phone detox might inspire you to call a friend to chat, or meet someone for lunch, or play with your pet. Activities that provide a real sense of connection and joy. Dr. Suzuki noted that there are types of joy from real-life interactions that simply can't be replicated by getting likes on a screen. Your smartphone is frying your brain. Neuroscientist explains how increased screen time is impacting our lives. Technology News, The Indian Express. HTTPS, Indian Express. Com/article technology your smartphone is frying brain, impact of increased screen time, 9511 before 041 text percent 2% 80% 9 C screen shendut addiction quotu limits percent 20 your target 20 potential thus 20 dire serum 20 off to 20 per 20 CEO. When you reduce your screen time, you make more space for those real joys. You might laugh more because you're actually conversing with people or noticing humorous things in life around you. You might feel more empathic and connected because instead of just seeing a sad story online and scrolling past, you might engage in your community or reach out to someone in need. And let's not forget stress reduction. One of the immediate effects people report is feeling less stressed when they aren't constantly checking their phones. Imagine not being on high alert for a message or call for a while. It's liberating. Your body can relax out of that fight or flight mode that chronic information overload can induce. With lower stress, your blood pressure might even drop a bit, your muscles unclench, and you breathe easier. Mentally, less stress means fewer racing thoughts and a calmer emotional baseline. You might rediscover a sense of contentment, that all is well feeling. That can be hard to come by when you're always plugged into the chaos of the world. Rediscovering simple joys and connections. When was the last time you sat in the yard or by the window and just watched the birds or the clouds for a while? Or pulled out an old photo album and reminisced without also trying to text someone at the same time? A lovely thing happens when we put our phones aside. We often rediscover simple pleasures that got pushed aside. Your mind is like a garden, and constant phone use can be like an overgrowth of weeds, too many tangled stimuli crowding out the flowers. When you take a break, it's like weeding that garden. Slowly the flowers, your interests, curiosities, and joys, have room to grow again. Many people find that during a digital detox, they return to hobbies. They love or try new ones. You might dust off that old guitar or start knitting again, or finally have the patience to bake that family recipe you've been meaning to try. Engaging in these hands-on, phone-free activities all brings a sense of fulfillment that mindless scrolling never could. You use more of your senses and creativity, and you often end up with something to show for it. A song, a scarf, a cake, or at least a pleasant experience. This kind of engagement is deeply satisfying to the brain. It releases a healthier, more sustained form of dopamine and other neurochemicals that make you feel good without the crash. It's more like a slow-release vitamin than a sugar rush. Relationships often improve too. Instead of each person in a household staring at their own screen in the evenings, a digital break might encourage everyone to do something together. Perhaps you play a board game with your spouse or grandchildren, or simply have a long, unrushed conversation. You'll likely find you laugh more and learn more about each other in these moments. Even if you live alone, taking a break from the phone can push you to reach out in more meaningful ways. Writing a letter, meeting a friend for a walk, or having a relaxed phone call, using the phone for its original purpose, talking to someone without also scrolling other apps. Those interactions can leave your heart feeling warm and nourished, in a way that a quick text conversation or commenting on a post rarely does. Digital detox, why we need it. Newport Academy. http www.newportacademy.com resources, restoring families, digital detox. For example, think of an evening where instead of everyone retreating to their devices, you and your family or friends gather around the table for an activity, maybe a puzzle or a game or just sharing stories. The smiles, the eye contact, the little jokes and memories that surface. These are moments of real connection that strengthen bonds. Without phones stealing the attention, people tend to be more present. with each other. You might notice the tone of your loved one's voice better, or catch that fleeting funny expression on your granddaughter's face, or have the chance to really express something you've been feeling. These human moments are precious, and they flourish in the absence of constant digital distraction. Even alone, you might find joy in the solitude. Instead of feeling lonely when you turn off the phone, you might feel peaceful. You could sit with your thoughts, maybe journal a little, and feel a sort of companionship with yourself that's hard to get when your mind is always outward on the internet. Solitude allows for self-reflection, which can bring clarity about what you want in life or what you're grateful for. It's hard to hear one's inner voice when the world is chiming in constantly through a phone, but give it silence, and that inner voice, which is kinder and wiser than we often realize, can be heard again. Lastly, by stepping away from the phone, many people report a renewed appreciation for the world around them. The phrase "stop and smell the roses" becomes quite literal. You actually notice the roses and their scent. When you're walking without your nose in a screen, the world can seem richer and more vibrant. Colors of nature look a bit brighter, the taste of your food a bit fuller, the laugh of a friend more melodious. Essentially, when you're not constantly divided in attention, you've experienced life more fully. Every little positive experience can soak into your brain and register instead of sliding off because you were distracted. This not only improves mood in the moment, but it also creates lasting positive memories that can sustain you during harder times. Tips for a gentle digital detox. By now, hopefully you're intrigued by the idea of taking a break from your phone to help your brain. But you might also feel a bit nervous. Our phones are deeply woven into our lives, and going without them, even briefly, can be daunting. The key is to start small and gentle. Here are a few friendly tips to help you ease into a digital detox and find a healthier balance. Carve out phone-free moments. Pick a specific time of day to enjoy without your phone. It could be as soon as you wake up. Perhaps decide not to check anything for the first hour of your morning. Use that time to stretch, have breakfast, or read the newspaper the old-fashioned way, or choose meal times as phone-free. Start with just 15-30 minutes and gradually extend it. Consistency helps. For example, every day during lunch, the phone stays in the other room. You'll begin to look forward to these peaceful pockets of time. Create a sanctuary space. Designate certain areas where phones are not allowed, or at least not actively used. The bedroom is a great choice as it hugely improves sleep. Maybe also the dining table or a porch where you sip your evening tea. In those spaces, keep a book, a magazine, or a calming hobby like a crossword or knitting, so you have something enjoyable to do that replaces the phone habit. These spaces become your little digital detox zones. Turn off non-essential notifications. A lot of that urge to check the phone comes from the phone constantly calling out to us. Enter the settings and silence the pings that don't truly need your immediate attention. Do you need an alert for every email or Facebook like? Probably not. Perhaps keep only calls or texts from key people as audible. Each notification you turn off is one less intrusion on your peace. Finding focus in a fragmented world. So it could be LinkedIn, Calm, Pulse, Finding Focus, Fragmented World, Milena, Mativa, Regos, KA7Z, Text, Full Forward, Gift to Send 20 ton, Your Shanti, Future 20 Self. This way, even when you're not on a full detox, the phone is quieter and your brain can relax more. Replace, don't just remove. It's easier to take a break from your phone when you have something else fulfilling to do. Revisit hobbies or activities that you love. It could be gardening, walking, woodworking, painting, or even playing with the dog. Schedule these activities into your day so that you naturally have to put the phone down. For example, if you join a local senior swim or yoga class, that's an hour where you're joyfully offline. If you plan to bake a pie in the afternoon, you can set your phone aside while you get hands-on with dough. By filling your time with rewarding offline activities, you won't miss the phone as much. You might even forget about it for a while, and that's a great sign that you're truly engaged in life. Bedtime rituals without the phone. Try swapping the pre-sleep phone scrolling with a different calming routine. Maybe an hour before bed, plug your phone in to charge outside the bedroom. Shum, out of sight, out of mind. Then enjoy a ritual. Drink a cup of herbal tea, listen to soft music or an audiobook, or read something uplifting or entertaining in print. Some people write down a few grateful thoughts or do gentle stretching. This signals your brain it's time to unwind. You may find you fall asleep faster and rest much better. In the morning, resist grabbing the phone right away. Take a few breaths, notice how you feel, and ease into your day before connecting to the digital world. The Phone Vacation Challenge. If you're feeling up to it, designate one day a week or a month as a mini phone holiday. Let close family know you'll be offline that day so they won't worry, and then unplug. Use the day to do things you love. Go on a picnic, visit a museum, have a long chat with a friend in person, or simply relax. Think of it as recharging while your own batteries. Many find that after the initial withdrawal feelings, a sense of liberation and happiness emerges on these phone-free days. You might even start to crave these breaks because of how refreshed you feel afterward. Remember, a digital detox isn't about completely shunning technology or pretending smartphones are evil. Phones are wonderful tools. They connect us, they give us information, and for many seniors, they are a source of security and convenience. The goal is balance. It's about making sure that you are in control of your phone, not the other way around. By taking conscious breaks and setting boundaries, you let your brain and heart recharge so that when you do use your phone, you can enjoy it in a healthier way. My conclusion, embracing digital balance. As we wrap up, imagine your mind once more as that calm snow globe, clarity restored after the flurry has settled. Taking a break from your phone, even in small ways, is a gift of clarity you give to yourself. It's a chance to reconnect with your own thoughts, to savor the present moment, and then to remember that life is happening here and now, not just behind a screen. By now, you've learned how constant phone use can overstimulate your brain and cloud your thinking. But more importantly, you've seen that even a little digital detox can begin to reverse those effects, leading to a clearer, happier mind. It's never too late to make these gentle changes. Whether you're 65 or 85, your brain has an incredible ability to heal and adapt. Neuroscientists have found that our brains can grow new connections at any age when given the right environment. And a bit of peace and focus is certainly the right environment. Think of reducing screen time not as losing something, but as gaining back time and mental space for yourself. It's like decluttering a room. At first, it's a chore to remove the excess stuff, but then you step back and feel so much lighter and freer in that clean space. So I encourage you to try even one small step from the tips we discussed. Maybe tonight you'll leave the phone in the living room and bring a book to bed instead. Or tomorrow morning, take your coffee outside without your phone and listen to the world wake up. Notice how you feel during those moments. That feeling of calm, of being centered, is your brain thanking you. Over time, these little moments add up to a mind that is more resilient, focused, and content. Lastly, be patient and kind to yourself. Changing habits, especially in our tech-filled world, isn't always easy. You might feel restless or tempted. That's okay and totally normal. But day by day, as you find a better balance, you'll likely start to treasure the freedom and clarity that comes with not being constantly tied to a device. You'll realize that you haven't missed out on anything truly important by taking a break. In fact, you've gained a clearer mind and a happier outlook. Thank you for joining me in this warm conversation about our brains and phones. It's a topic that affects all of us, no matter our age. And it's so important to approach it with understanding and hope. Here's to a calmer mind, sweeter sleep, sharper thinking, and the simple joys that await when we look up from our screens. Your brain will love you for it, and you just might find a new sense of peace and clarity shining through each day. Take care, and remember, the goal isn't to eliminate technology, but to live well with it by giving ourselves the breaks we need. Happy digital detoxing, and may your mind feel like a serene, clear garden blooming with fresh thoughts.